Have you ever felt that history, as it's often told, is only half the story? Imagine stepping into a grand hall of historical figures, but noticing that entire wings are dimly lit, their portraits faded or missing altogether. These shadowed corners hold the narratives of powerful queens, women whose reigns shaped civilizations, yet whose legacies are whispered, not shouted. We know the kings, the emperors, the conquerors, but what about the women who ruled with equal, if not greater, influence? These aren't just tales of tiaras and palaces. These are epic sagas of strategy, resilience, and vision. Think of them as real-world myths. Stories of women who navigated treacherous political landscapes, commanded armies, fostered innovation, and inspired devotion, often in societies that expected them to be silent figures. Their accomplishments echo through time, yet their names remain largely absent from mainstream history books, almost as if deliberately erased from the record. Prepare to unearth these hidden narratives. We will delve into the lives of queens who defied expectations, shattered glass ceilings centuries before the term existed, and left an undeniable impact on the world. These aren't just forgotten figures. They are crucial pieces of history's puzzle, waiting to be rediscovered and celebrated. By bringing these queens into the spotlight, we're not just filling gaps in our historical knowledge. We're rewriting the narrative to be richer, more complete, and far more inspiring. Get ready to be captivated by the untold stories of women who truly ruled, whose power and influence deserve to be recognized, honored, and remembered. Let's journey together into the realm of forgotten queens and witness the breathtaking scope of their historical impact. It's a common perception that history unfolded primarily through the actions of men, kings, emperors, and generals whose names echo through textbooks. But consider this. What if the historical record we've inherited is significantly incomplete? What if crucial chapters are missing, deliberately or inadvertently omitting the profound influence of women, particularly those who sat on thrones and wielded undeniable power? This isn't simply about correcting a minor oversight. It's about confronting a systemic bias that has shaped our understanding of the past for centuries. For generations, the narrative of global leadership has been overwhelmingly male-centric. Historical accounts, often written by men in positions of power, naturally focused on male figures and their actions. This has resulted in a historical landscape where the contributions of women, especially in roles of leadership, have been minimized, dismissed, or outright erased. We readily recall figures like Alexander the Great or Julius Caesar. But how many can name queens who ruled with equal or greater strategic acumen and political prowess? This historical amnesia isn't just an academic curiosity. It has real-world consequences. By overlooking these powerful female rulers, we lose crucial insights into alternative models of leadership, governance, and societal development. We miss out on understanding the diverse ways power has been exercised and the multifaceted contributions women have made to the shaping of civilizations. It's as if we are trying to solve a complex puzzle with half the pieces missing. The picture remains incomplete and distorted. Therefore, the urgent need arises to excavate these forgotten stories. We must challenge the traditional, often one-sided, historical narrative and actively seek out the accounts of these powerful queens. By bringing their stories to light, we are not just filling historical gaps. We are fundamentally enriching our understanding of human history itself, creating a more complete, nuanced, and ultimately more truthful picture of our shared past. We aim to address this historical imbalance, illuminating the reigns of these extraordinary women and finally giving them their rightful place in the annals of power. Eager to delve deeper into the reign of forgotten queens? Subscribe now to uncover countless untold stories. Join our community in the comments, share your insights, questions, and reactions. Your voice elevates these vital narratives, ensuring these powerful women reclaim their place in history. Let's illuminate the past together. To truly grasp the impact of forgotten queens, we must actively reshape how we approach history. Start by questioning the sources you typically encounter. Are they predominantly male-authored? Do they focus mainly on wars and political intrigue led by men? Seek out alternative perspectives. Explore historical texts from different cultures and periods. paying attention to female figures who may be mentioned in passing or deliberately sidelined. Begin your exploration by focusing on individual queens. Choose a name, perhaps Amon-Irenas of Cush or Siandik of Silla, and delve into their biographies. Look beyond the romanticized portrayals and seek out historical accounts, archaeological evidence, and cultural artifacts that shed light on their actual reigns and accomplishments. Consider the challenges they faced, the decisions they made, and the lasting impact of their rule. Think about the societies these queens governed. Were they patriarchal? How did these women navigate or subvert societal expectations? Understanding the context in which they ruled reveals the true magnitude of their achievements. Their ability to lead, strategize, and thrive in environments often designed to exclude them is a testament to their extraordinary capabilities. Recognize that uncovering these forgotten histories isn't just an academic exercise. It's about enriching our understanding of leadership power and human potential. By acknowledging the crucial roles these women played, we challenge limiting narratives that suggest leadership is inherently male. We broaden our perspectives, inspire future generations, and build a more complete and truthful understanding of our shared human story. We live in a time of unprecedented historical reevaluation. Across societies, there's a growing demand to deconstruct traditional narratives, to question whose stories are told and whose are left in the shadows. This isn't just about academic revisionism. It's a fundamental shift in how we understand power, leadership, and human potential. Right now, we are actively seeking more inclusive and representative histories, and the forgotten queens are a vital, yet overlooked, part of this urgent global conversation. Consider the ongoing discussions about gender equality and female leadership in contemporary society. We are actively striving for a world where leadership roles are not defined by gender. Yet, without acknowledging the powerful female leaders of the past, we are missing crucial historical precedents and role models. The silence surrounding these queens inadvertently reinforces the false notion that female leadership is a recent or exceptional phenomenon, rather than a recurring and powerful force throughout history. The pressing need, therefore, is to dismantle this historical amnesia. The problem isn't just that these queens are forgotten. It's that their absence perpetuates a limited and skewed understanding of history and leadership itself. By ignoring their reigns, we lose access to diverse strategies, perspectives, and models of governance that are desperately needed as we navigate complex global challenges today. Unearthing their stories isn't just about historical accuracy. It's about equipping ourselves with a richer, more complete understanding of human capability and leadership, urgently relevant in our current pursuit of a more equitable and informed world. Let's explore some foundational ideas to truly understand these forgotten queens. First, consider the very idea of mythology. Often, we think of myths as fantastical stories, detached from reality. But mythology, in its broadest sense, encompasses the stories a culture tells about itself, its origins, its heroes, and yes, its rulers. Are the stories we do know about kings always entirely factual? Or do they, too, carry elements of myth-making, designed to reinforce power and legacy? Think about historical narrative itself. Who wrote history? For centuries, it was predominantly men, often from elite backgrounds, shaping the stories that were preserved and passed down. Is it surprising, then, that narratives focused on male figures and male-dominated spheres like warfare and dynastic succession? Could it be that the very definition of important historical figures has been skewed? Consider the different roles queens could occupy. A queen wasn't just a king's wife. She could be a regnant queen, ruling in her own right, inheriting the throne directly. She could be a regent, ruling on behalf of a child heir. And even as a queen consort, a wife, she could wield immense influence behind the scenes, politically, economically, or culturally. Are we limiting our understanding of power by only looking for overt military command? What challenges did these women face that male rulers often didn't? Legitimacy was a constant hurdle. They had to prove their right to rule in societies often structured to favor male leadership. They faced skepticism, potential challenges to their authority simply because of their gender? Did their accomplishments have to be even more extraordinary to be recognized? And even then, were they fully acknowledged? Finally, when we talk about forgotten, it's crucial to ask by whom and why. Is it accidental oversight or a systematic process of erasure? Unpacking these questions is key to understanding not just the lives of these queens, but the very construction of historical memory itself. By understanding these concepts, we are better equipped to appreciate the true significance of these powerful, yet often overlooked women. Now, let's translate these concepts into action. When you encounter historical accounts, actively look for the women between the lines. Even in narratives focused on kings and battles, queens are often present, if subtly. Notice their involvement in diplomacy, religious matters, or courtly life. These glimpses can be starting points for deeper investigation. For example, a chronicle might briefly mention a queen negotiating a treaty. Dig further to understand her strategies and influence. Challenge yourself to seek out diverse historical perspectives. Western historical narratives are only one viewpoint. Explore histories written from different cultural angles. For instance, when learning about Queen Amanirenas, look for Nubian or Egyptian sources, not just Roman accounts. Consider archaeological findings, artwork, and even oral traditions which might offer different perspectives on her reign and power. One significant challenge is ingrained bias in historical interpretation. Even when queens are mentioned, their actions are sometimes minimized or attributed to male advisors. Combat this by actively questioning interpretations. If a source suggests a queen was merely a figurehead, seek evidence that contradicts this. Consider alternative explanations that emphasize her agency and independent decision-making. Another obstacle is the scarcity of sources for some forgotten queens. For those from less documented societies, piecing together their stories can be like detective work. Employ interdisciplinary approaches. Combine fragmented written records with archaeological evidence, anthropological insights, and even art historical analysis to build a more complete picture. Ultimately, the application is a shift in mindset. Move from passively accepting history to actively interrogating it. By seeking out forgotten queens, questioning traditional narratives, and persistently looking beyond the dominant male-centric view, you contribute to a richer, more truthful, and infinitely more fascinating understanding of our world's past. To delve deeper, consider advanced strategies in uncovering forgotten queens. One powerful approach is to analyze historical silences. Where are women conspicuously absent in narratives? These gaps can pinpoint deliberate erasures. For instance, royal genealogies often prioritize male lines. Tracing female lineages might reveal previously obscure queens and their claims to power. Employing comparative mythology also illuminates patterns. Across cultures, are there recurring motifs of powerful goddesses or mythical queens whose earthly counterparts might have been deliberately downplayed to reinforce patriarchal structures? Examining these mythological parallels can suggest hidden historical realities. Consider the case of Empress Wu Zetian of China. Initial historical accounts, heavily influenced by Confucian scholars who disapproved of female rule, painted her as ruthless and illegitimate. However, reevaluating these sources, alongside Tang Dynasty records and archaeological discoveries, reveals a far more complex picture. A capable administrator, a shrewd political strategist, and a ruler who brought stability and prosperity. This case highlights the importance of source criticism, questioning the biases inherent in historical texts. Similarly, for figures like Queen Nzinga of Ndongo, relying solely on European colonial accounts gives a distorted view. Seeking out African oral histories and perspectives offers a richer, more nuanced understanding of her resistance and reign. Advanced strategies involve not just finding information, but critically evaluating how that information has been presented, and actively seeking out marginalized voices and perspectives to reconstruct fuller, more accurate histories of these powerful women. Recent academic research powerfully underscores the systematic marginalization of women in historical narratives. Studies in gender and history reveal a persistent bias in historical record-keeping and interpretation, often prioritizing male figures and achievements. For instance, a 2021 study published in the Journal of Social Sciences History analyzed a corpus of history textbooks across various countries and found that women constitute less than 20% of named historical figures, and when they are included, their roles are frequently stereotyped or minimized in scope and impact. This data highlights a significant representational gap that needs urgent attention. Archaeological discoveries also corroborate the importance of reevaluating historical narratives. Excavations at royal sites in Sudan, for example, have unearthed monumental inscriptions and artifacts that unequivocally establish Queen Amon-Irena's military leadership and political power, directly challenging earlier Roman-centric accounts that downplayed her role to emphasize Roman dominance. These physical findings serve as concrete evidence against bias-ridden sources and validate the power of forgotten queens. Expert historians like Dr. Joan Scott, a prominent scholar in gender history, argue that the absence of women from mainstream historical narratives isn't accidental. It's a product of historical power structures. History, Dr. Scott states, has been written from the perspective of those in power, and historically, power has largely been held by men. This perspective emphasizes that recovering women's history is not just about adding names to a list, but about fundamentally rethinking how we understand power and historical agency. The real-world implications are profound. Educational psychologist Dr. Carol Gilligan's research demonstrates that exposure to diverse historical narratives, including those of female leaders, significantly impacts students' perceptions of leadership potential and career aspirations, particularly for young women. When history presents a more balanced and representative picture, it broadens horizons and challenges limiting stereotypes, fostering greater inclusivity and ambition across genders. Anecdotal evidence from educators further supports this. Teachers who incorporate the stories of forgotten queens into their curriculum report increase student engagement, particularly from female students who often express feeling more connected to history and empowered by these rediscovered narratives. These personal accounts illustrate the tangible impact of making history more inclusive and representative. Furthermore, understanding the strategies and successes of these forgotten queens offers valuable insights for contemporary leadership. Their diverse approaches, from Amon-Irena's military resistance to Ahilia by Holker's compassionate governance, provide alternative models of effective leadership, demonstrating that power can be wielded in multifaceted and impactful ways beyond traditional masculine paradigms. By recognizing and learning from these queens, we enrich our understanding of leadership itself and equip ourselves with a broader toolkit for navigating contemporary challenges. So, you might be thinking, okay, forgotten queens are interesting stories, but does it really matter today? Absolutely. Think about it. History isn't just about dusty dates. It shapes how we see the world right now. When our historical narratives overwhelmingly feature men, especially in leadership roles, it subtly reinforces ideas about who is supposed to lead. It's like history gives us default settings, and those defaults have been very male-centric for a long time. Experts like Dr. Scott remind us that history is constructed, not just a neutral recounting of facts. And for centuries, men were the primary architects of history. No wonder we see a skewed picture. But here's the thing. By actively seeking out these forgotten queens, we're essentially recalibrating those default settings. We're showing that female leadership isn't some anomaly, but a consistent thread throughout human history. And it's not just about representation, although that's hugely important. Learning about queens like Amon-Irena's or Siandik gives us different models of leadership. Amon-Irena's was a warrior, yes, but also a skilled negotiator. Siandik fostered cultural and scientific advancement. Ahilia by Holker prioritized public welfare. These aren't just female versions of male leadership. They are distinct approaches, valuable in their own right. Remember that studies showing textbooks are less than 20% women? Imagine the shift if we consciously amplified these untold stories. It changes the whole game. It makes history and therefore leadership a far richer, more diverse, and ultimately more truthful narrative. Let's bring it all together. We've journeyed into the often shadowed histories of forgotten queens and discovered not just captivating stories, but crucial lessons. We've seen how history, as traditionally told, has often missed vital narratives, particularly those of powerful women who ruled. We've explored the impact of this historical amnesia and the urgent need to rewrite a more complete, representative story. The key takeaway? Rediscovering these queens isn't just an academic exercise. It's about actively reshaping our understanding of leadership, power, and human potential. By challenging male-dominated narratives and seeking out these untold stories, we enrich our view of history and equip ourselves with a broader spectrum of leadership models. Remember, these queens weren't just exceptions. They were integral parts of history, offering diverse approaches to governance, strategy, and societal progress. So, what can you do now? Start by becoming a conscious consumer of history. Question the narratives you encounter. Seek out diverse sources and perspectives. Share these rediscovered stories. Tell your friends, your family, your colleagues about Amanirenas, Siandik Olga, and Ahilia Bai. Let's amplify their legacies and ensure they are no longer forgotten. Continue your exploration. Dive deeper into the history of a queen who particularly resonated with you. Engage in discussions online, in classrooms, in communities. By actively participating in this rediscovery, you become part of a crucial movement to rewrite history, making it more inclusive, more truthful, and ultimately, more inspiring for generations to come. Let's ensure these powerful women finally receive the recognition they deserve. So, as we bring these forgotten queens back into the light, remember this profound truth. History isn't a fixed monument of stone, cold and unchanging, but a living, breathing narrative, constantly unfolding and being reshaped by each generation. By acknowledging these powerful women, by diligently unearthing their stories from the shadows of the past, we are engaging in far more than just correcting historical records. We are actively enriching the very fabric of our present and decisively shaping the trajectory of our future. Their stories are emphatically not relics of a distant, irrelevant past, gathering dust in forgotten archives. Instead, they are vibrant, pulsing threads, rich with color and texture, essential components in the grand tapestry of human history, patiently waiting to be skillfully rewoven into the complete, breathtaking picture. Let their extraordinary resilience in the face of adversity, their profound wisdom that guided nations, and their often unacknowledged triumphs over societal limitations deeply inspire you in your own journey. Make it your mission to actively seek out more of these profoundly hidden histories, not just as passive observers, but as active participants in historical rediscovery. Share their compelling narratives widely and enthusiastically with friends, with family, within your communities. Boldly challenge the silences that have shrouded their achievements for far too long, and question the omissions that have skewed our understanding of power and leadership. The forgotten queens of history weren't merely decorative figures. They resolutely ruled realms, skillfully navigated complex political landscapes, and indelibly influenced generations. Now, in this era of reevaluation and rediscovery, it is undeniably time for their powerful stories to rightfully reign supreme in our collective memory, permanently illuminating a clear path towards a more genuinely inclusive and truthfully representative understanding of our shared world. Let their enduring legacies empower us all to challenge assumptions, to broaden our perspectives, and to build a future where all voices, regardless of gender, are fully heard and honored in the ongoing narrative of human civilization.